Okay, so on this question, they want us to solve an x squared equation. How do we do it? We identify A, B, and C. So this is A, 4 there. B is that -4, and C is the -7. So then we plug into the quadratic formula. So write out the quadratic formula here. Write down a bit longer one here. All right, so the quadratic formula is -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So that would be negative. And so, all right, so I'm going to plug everything in. So my my b here is -4. So watch out. See how b is -4, and that's in addition to the negative sign built in to the quadratic formula. The double negatives are going to become positive there, isn't it? Everybody see that? So the quadratic formula has some built-in features, like a new car or something. It's got a built-in minus sign, a plus or minus, a built-in 4, or 2 on the bottom, right? That stuff's already built in. That's going to be in addition to any negatives that come along with the numbers you plug in, right? So when b here is -4 and you plug in a -4, there's a negative already built in, the -4 there, double negative positive over b squared. So -4b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a, like that. All right, so where do we go from there? So from there, we go to, so this is going to be +4, right? The double negative. This will be 16. Now watch your signs here. Count them carefully, right? We have negative, positive, negative. So 2 negatives makes positive. Then just use your calculator. 4 times 4 times 7. So 7 times 16. So I'll use my calculator. 112. Over 2 times 4 is 8 on the bottom. So again, watch your signs there. See that? Negative, positive, negative. So you just count your signs. 2 negatives make positive. There's just 1 negative, it stays negative. There's 2 negatives, of course, it's back to positive. 3 negatives, be back to negative again. All right, so then what? Well, just keep going. So now we have whatever that number is, 112 plus 16, 128. 128, 4 plus or minus all over 8. 128. Okay, so now, how do we clean it up from here? Well, let me show you 2 things. You could just hit the buttons on your calculator. That's totally fine. Probably the easiest thing to do at this point is just hit the buttons on your calculator. Let me show you what I mean. In other words, just see, look, there's 2 answers. There is 4 minus the square root of 128 over 8, or 4 plus the square root of 128 over 8. Does that make sense? See the plus or minus options? I do the minus here first and then the plus, right? Because they want the lower one first. You look back at the answer blanks, see how this less than, they want the lower one here and the higher one here. You want the lower first, then the higher. So you do the minus first, that's gonna be lower, right? And then the plus is gonna be bigger. Okay, then hit the buttons on your calculator. So what do I mean by hit the buttons? Well, here's the trick. Here's the thing that messes up a lot. There is something tricky about this. Watch, here's how I type it in. 4 minus square root 128, and then I hit equals or enter, and then I go divide by 8, and I hit equals again. Everybody see what I'm saying? You have to hit equals when you're done with the numerator. I'll just put an equals up there. That's a mistake, because if you don't, if you skip that and you just type in 4 minus root 128, divide by 8, it'll only divide that last number. The 8 will only divide that last number instead of the whole thing. What will make it do the whole thing like we want is the equals. When you hit equals, when you're done with the top, you tell the calculator, hey, get the answer for the whole top now, calculator. give me the whole top and then divide that by 8 or whatever your denominator is. Does that make sense? So make sure you're hitting equals when you're done with the top before you divide by the bottom. That way you'll have the whole top divided by the bottom rather than just the last number. That's the trick. Hit equals when you're done with the top before you divide by the denominator. That way you'll divide the whole thing by the denominator instead of just the last number you typed in. Same thing over here. 4 plus square root 128 equals, got to hit equals when you're done with the top before you divide by 8 on the bottom. Equal, you'll get a couple of decimals. So like I'll do this one, for example. So I'm getting, for my first one, negative 0.9142. How many decimals? I'm sure 4 decimals is plenty. It doesn't, I don't know if it says, maybe I missed it, but I'm sure 4 is plenty. This one's coming out 1.9142. So there's the lower number of the negative, the higher number of the positive. You can just do that. Just like that. Hit the negative, hit the positive. And there we go.